And welcome back to Patience is a Virtue, the YouTube channel devoted to finding value in futures wagering. I'm your host, Andrew, and on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the odds to win the Women's Euro 2025 soccer competition taking place in Switzerland starting on July 2nd. But before we do that, I want to touch very briefly on the WNBA Player of the Year award, which is between Nafisa Collier and Caitlin Clark at this point. And this is a word that we've talked about on a couple episodes on this channel. And I want to touch up on the impact of the Commissioner's Cup final and how that impacts this award. Now, that final is going to be taking place on July 1st in Minneapolis between the Minnesota Lynx and the Indiana Fever. And that means it's a heads-up matchup between the top two leaders in the standings for the award at this point. Nafisa Collier, she's the favorite. And then we have Caitlin Clark. Now, if you don't have a position on Caitlin Clark at this point and you're looking to add one, or if you already have some Caitlin Clark and you want to add a little bit more, I think the time to buy on her is before this game takes place. And the reason is if the Fever are able to go into Minneapolis and defeat the Lynx, and they're going to be underdogs in that matchup, then Caitlin's odds are going to drop drastically. I think that they will either be around the same odds as Nafisa Collier to win. She's between minus 300, minus 400 at this current point, and Caitlin Clark is around plus 250, depending on your book. They might be around the same price if they were able to win. Caitlin Clark might even be favored at this point. So if you want to buy her and you need to add more Caitlin Clark, you're going to have to do that before this game, again, taking place on July 1st. Now, if you think Nafisa Collier is the way to go, you just want to let this one ride out. I don't think buying Nafisa at this point is very good value. And if the Lynx are able to win, that's pretty much going to seal this bet. In my opinion, barring an injury on Nafisa Collier, I think she's pretty much going to lock it up if the Lynx are able to win this matchup. So, just very briefly, if you want a Caitlin Clark, make sure you go ahead and buy her before this game takes place, because otherwise, I think you're going to lose all your value on that spot. So let's go ahead and switch on over to the Women's Euro competition. Again, this starts on July 2nd, and it's taking place in Switzerland. Now, this is a 16-team tournament, which is divided up into 4 different groups. So like a lot of competitions, we have 4 groups in 4 nations in 4 different groups each. Everybody's going to play each other. The top 2 teams in each group are going to advance to the knockout round. So here are the groups, and these odds are coming directly from BetMGM. Currently, they're the only sportsbook that I'm seeing that has the odds for the group. But as we get closer, go ahead and check your sportsbooks. All the sportsbooks are probably going to have odds on this competition. So if you want to hold off and wait until you see what prices you can get, definitely a good idea to shop around. But where I'm getting these from are BetMGM. So if you want to buy it right now, that's the only place that I am currently seeing that you can get these at. So Group A features Norway. They're the favorite at minus 118 to win the group. Switzerland is plus 118. Iceland plus 800. And Finland are plus 2,000. Now, this really is kind of a weaker group, as the favorite Norway, again at minus 118, they finished 3rd in their qualification group. Now, the Swiss, they're the second favorite. They qualified. They're a decent team, but they've qualified because they are the host nation. And so that's how you're getting the top two favorites within this group. Not very strong, to say the least. Based on their qualification performance, Norway is really looking to play tighter, lower scoring games. And that can be a good strategy, especially against stronger competition. But if the goals are not going in, Norway can definitely be upset by one of these teams. And really, because of that, I would be looking towards the Swiss for a pick. If you want to pick somebody who's going to win Group A and come out of this competition, I really think you got to go with the Swiss, because they're going to have the home field advantage and they're going to have the home fans behind them. And really, there's not a whole lot of a difference between those 2 squads. But ultimately, at this point, I think it's a pass. Plus 118 is not enough value on the Swiss, and I don't want Norway at minus 118. So in terms of the group fixtures for Group A, right now I'm just going to pass on those options. So Group B consists of Spain. They're the favorite at minus 1,400, clear favorite. Italy is second at 1,100, plus 1,100. Portugal plus 1,400, and Belgium at plus 1,800. So for me, this is a pretty difficult group because it features the top two teams, Spain and Italy. They both won their qualification group, so they're both very good squads. Spain have an excellent offense, very powerful. They were averaging about 3 goals per game in their qualification, and have a very good defense. They were only averaging about giving up 1 goal per game. So they really were a dominant squad in the qualification process, and I think they shouldn't have any issues getting to the knockout round either in first or second position, likely in first position out of this group. I do also think Italy is going to be able to advance because they also have a very tight, stout defense. And so that should be able to see them through against weaker competition in the other two teams in this group. I do think Spain is going to win the group, and so I don't really see any value on that end. What I would recommend doing is once we get a little bit closer to the actual competition, hopefully we will see some more markets opening up at different sports books. And what I would look for is an exact forecast market for this group. So what you want to try and find is Spain to get first and Italy come in second, and that is the exact bet. And that's what I would look for because I think that is the most likely outcome in this situation. And so you might get the best value on that end. Yes, you could take Italy to maybe win that group, hope that perhaps Italy and Spain win their other two games. And then perhaps if Italy is able to force a draw against Spain and they get first spot based on goal differential, that is a possibility. And it could be a way to go, especially if you just want to take a small little flyer on the Italians to win the group. But my favorite bet looking at this group is for an exact forecast of Spain and Italy. Spain first, Italy second. Right now, we don't have that market, but keep your eye out. Hopefully, that should be coming up as we get closer to the start of the tournament. In Group C, we have Germany as the favorites at minus 155, Sweden at plus 225, Denmark plus 400, and Poland at plus 8,000. Now, Group C is led by the most successful nation in this tournament's history, which is Germany. They've won eight total titles. And like Spain, they have a powerful offense and they have a very good defense, and they really should be able to win this group. Should be a little tighter, but they should still win this group. Now, the second favorite is Sweden. And in qualification, Sweden was only able to manage 6 goals out of 6 games. So if their offense is lacking, there might be a chance for them to suffer a surprising defeat or even just a surprising draw, which could hold them back in terms of qualifying for the knockout round. In third position is Denmark, in terms of the odds at least. And they were in the same qualification group as Spain, and they ended up winning they ended up winning all their games against the competition except for the 2 games that they played against Spain, right? So the only losses they had in qualification were against a very strong Spanish squad, and those were both by 1 goal. So they really are a quality squad, and I think they definitely have the possibility to make some noise. So I would actually favor Denmark to have a better chance of upsetting Germany and taking top spot in the group as opposed to Sweden. So if you're looking for more of a long shot pick in terms of winning Group C, I would actually go with Denmark as opposed to Sweden. Can't really get too much of a long shot in this situation, but I think Germany is probably the most likely to come out and win this. Denmark would be my second favorite. So again, if you maybe want an exact forecast, you could look for Germany and Denmark as the 1-2 to get out of this group. And your final group is going to be Group D. That features England as the favorite at plus 130, France as the second favorite plus 140, so very close. The Netherlands are plus 280, and Wales at never going to happen. Now, the defending champion, England, it's interesting that they are the odds on favorite to win this group because in qualification, they actually were in the same group as France, and France ended up winning the qualification group. So England finished second behind France, but in terms of when we get to the final competition, England is actually favored to get out of the group over France, which just kind of interesting. The teams did split wins in that qualification round, and so I think they do both have a very good shot of ultimately getting out of this group. Now, the Netherlands, they are a pretty good team, and they end up actually finishing second in their qualification group to Italy. And the only reason they finished second was goal differential. So essentially, they had the same points as Italy in terms of wins and losses and draws, but they only lost it on goal differential. So I do think it's very possible that the Dutch, if they're able to hold up in the back line and they're able to keep these two very low scoring games against both France and Italy, Do not be surprised if they're able to either win one of those games or maybe force a surprising draw, and perhaps they get through on goal differential against one of those two teams. And so, Netherlands could be a little bit of an opportunity if you wanted to, again, a smaller long shot to get out of this group. Plus 280 really is not too much of a long shot, but when you're looking at plus 130 for England and plus 140 for France, 280 is a little bit of a long shot. So I don't see any value on England or France, especially to win the group, because it should be very tight between those two. And then also throw in Netherlands. It's hard to pick who's going to ultimately win this group. But if you wanted to add just a little bit of flyer, I would say Netherlands really would be the way to go. But most likely, it's going to be England and France who are going to be coming out of this group. So now let's take a look at the odds for the outright market, the outright championship. So we have Spain as the favorite at plus 175, England at 400, and England is actually the defending champion in this competition. France is plus 450, Germany also at plus 450, Sweden at plus 1400, the Netherlands plus 1600, Norway at 2000, Italy at 2500, and the Swiss also at 2500. Now, in terms of the outright market, Spain is the rightful favorite, but at that price, you might be better off waiting to see how their group is going to shake out and how the other groups are going to shake out, just to know Spain's path within the knockout round. Now, if they are able to win their group, that's going to put them in line to play either likely England or France in the semifinal, right? And that could be a very difficult game. And so that's what sort of keeps me away from Spain a little bit, plus the price. So I don't really want to take an outright future on Spain at this point, although they are most likely the best team in this competition and they have a very good shot of winning it. So I'm going to hold off on Spain at this point. The team that I really like is actually Germany. And I think they've got a great shot to make the final, certainly make the semifinal, but probably make the final as well. And I think that at plus 450, I think that is a pretty good price for this value. This is not a huge tournament in terms of the number of teams and the number of, the length that it goes. And so, at plus 450 really is not too bad in terms of what they have to ultimately win. If the seeds sort of break out, I think Germany has a very good shot of they will most likely play a team from Group A in the semifinals. And again, that's Norway and Switzerland are the two most likely to come out of there. I think the Germans shouldn't have much of a problem against either of those two teams. So if they're able to make the semifinals, I think there's a very good chance that Germany should be able to make the final. And I think at that point, if you want to hedge, you can. But Germany's a pretty strong squad, depending on who they be playing. You might not even want to do that. So if anybody, Germany would be my pick at this point at plus 450 to win the outright title. Now, if you want a longer shot, I think you could also go for Italy coming out of Group B. Now, there's a decent chance that they would be coming out as the second team in that group. And I actually like that a little bit better, because if they end up finishing second, they'll have to play the winner of Group A in the first round of the knockout round. Again, Norway and Switzerland don't have a whole lot of faith in those two teams to advance. And if Italy is able to do that, then they're going to be playing likely Germany at that point. Now, if some things go their way, they're playing, the defense is playing well. If they're able to knock off the Germans, they're going to find themselves in the final, and you've got them at a very good price. The price on Italy, again, was plus 2,500. You can easily hedge that out if you want to, depending on who they're going to play. You could even look to hedge some of that in the semifinal against Germany if you needed to. But I think Italy has a decent chance of at least making the semi. And at that point, if you want to hedge, you can. So if you're looking for a little bit of a longer shot, I do like Italy. But ultimately, at this point, my favorite pick in the outright market would be Germany. And that's going to do it for this episode of Patience is a Virtue. Always remember to gamble responsibly, never bet more than you can afford to lose, and remember, patience is a virtue.